It's lights out, everybody, and welcome back to the Low Downforce podcast, the For Friend Formula One podcast. And all four of us are here and ready to go. It is race week. Once again, you have J9, you have Josh, you have Matt, and you have myself, Ben. And it is an extra special race week because Josh and I are headed to our first Grand Prix ever. We leave Wednesday just after recording this to head up to the great city of Montreal for what hopefully will be a banger, a dry race banger, because I don't want to sit out in the rain all day. But Josh, how are you feeling? It's go time.
Yeah, I mean, the excitement has set in. For the longest time, it was like, oh yeah, we'll eventually go to a race. Like, it felt so far away, and now here we are, 10th race of the season, and it's actually real.
What about Matt and J9? How are y'all feeling? You just got your chance to decompress from the triple header that was, and now we head actually to the Eastern time zone.
It'll be great to watch at a reasonable time, to be honest. It's been a great European summer so far, but glad to have a track close to home.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited. The regular times, for some reason, maybe I'm not as big of a fan of for us, because I guess I like staying up till 3 a.m. with my boyfriend, ready to watch the race, like psyched, full of energy. For some reason, that's like my favorite kind of weekend. So it won't be that, but I am excited for another race. I think that I was definitely missing it this past weekend, and I kind of felt like I had nothing to do with my time because I was missing that race. So psyched.
Oh, and you bet we're going to be FaceTiming you guys.
Yeah.
while you're out at the race.
So we are going to be there. Just like
I would say, if I have enough service at the track, I will absolutely FaceTime you guys, show you a little bit of what's going on at the hairpin, of course, where we will be. It is the Formula One Pirelli Grand Prix du Canada, of course, because it is in French Quebec. But yeah, Pirelli sponsor. So hopefully the tires are going to perform. We have the fastest tires this race weekend. So hopefully Josh and I will see some lap records, some track records broken. I know Josh has been on the sim about 8 seconds off the pace. So
I'm pretty proud of that. I'm not a good sim driver, and like I was in like the mid 120s when I started the lap. I'll let Matt get into the lap record in a second, but now I'm like in the 119, 118 is my record. So I'm pretty happy there.
You're ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see what's
Don't
on
put me in the car though.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
Oh well. That's the only way to truly test it, Josh.
Well, we will certainly see what happens on track. Of course, we mentioned we will be at the hairpin, one of the slowest corners on the whole calendar. But to break down the entire track, we have, of course, you know it, you love it, Matt's Track Facts. Take it away, my friend.
Alrighty, so we covered this one last year, but let's hop right back in. For Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which is actually named after a real F1 driver who won here in 1978, the first time the Grand Prix was held for Scuderia Ferrari. So big legendary course here. And of all the drivers that are on the grid currently, Lewis has 7 wins, tied with Michael Schumacher for most. So I don't know if that's going to play into your predictions, but here's what we can expect from the weekend. It'll start with a little bit of instability, it looks like, from the weather, and then clear up for race day. So fingers crossed for you guys, hoping that it's a great, nice and dry race. But let's talk about the track. This is Lance's home race. It does look like he is going to be racing from everything I have seen recently.
As of time of recording, Aston Martin is saying that he will be ready for it, but we have no official confirmation as of recording this.
Okay, fair enough. Well, the race is set at Ile-Notre-Dame. Oh, that's horrible French. Don't even worry about that. The circuit was originally named after the island there in the middle of the St. Lawrence River, which is funny because Lance Stroll. But let's keep going. So 305.27 kilometers of total distance is pretty close to average, but leaves us with quite a bit more laps on average, or laps than the average calendar race. But it's got a cool character as well. It's been described as a semi-temporary track. Also, you could say it's not exactly street, not exactly permanent. There are plenty of tight walls, bumps, chicanes, and what is normally a public parking surface, if I'm not mistaken. There are heavy braking zones at turns 1, 3 to 4, the hairpin, and the final chicane, where we're going to see hopefully some possible overtakes. The turn one chicane, especially with the DRS proceeding. Specifically, when it comes to DRS, there are 3 zones, one on the start to finish, one between 7 and 8 on the back straight, and one at the exit of the hairpin down to the Wall of Champions. Go look that up. I've already been rambling on enough. But to wrap it up, there is a 55 to 60% chance of a safety car from what I've seen. At least 50% chance we'll see one. There's some bites with the walls and chicanes around Montreal, so expect some strategy shakeups and possible, unsafe driving conditions. And finally, a race lap record of 113.078 set by Valtteri Bottas during in a Mercedes during the 2019 Grand Prix.
I'm so close to that. In the sim, I'm only
Right there.
7 seconds off.
I feel like it's probably true, like with runners as well, where like every millisecond as you get really fast, it becomes harder and harder to attain.
In trying to learn the track, I was like watching clips of the pros do it, and it's just like they're just so smooth. There's such a big skill gap.
I will unbiased report when we do the review episode. I will unbiased report what Josh's sim time is at the kind of fan zone.
You'll have to record me, and then we'll post the clip.
Perfect. Well, I think it's really interesting. Last year, this race kind of threw everything that you could think of in an F1 race into one race. And it started off with rain. It then dried up. So all the cars were on rain tires or intermediate tires. And then we went to slick tires after that. And that just brought chaos. We had a really good race from Russell and Hamilton. They did fairly well throughout the race. You had Verstappen right up front. You had Norris right up front with Piastri. So, kind of the same names all over. But you had a lot of overtakes in places that you wouldn't expect because of the safety cars that came out. We had two safety cars that came out. Logan Sargent crashed. Shocker. I know.
Typical.
Again, they brought out the safety car. At that point, Norris had already passed Russell to get the lead, but then he was too far for the safety car. So he got screwed there. Verstappen and Russell went and took the lead spots. And then later when Sainz and Albon crashed, there was another safety car, and that was a good time with the rain for everyone to go with their slick tires. And so it was just a timing thing, and it always is with a safety car, and some are winners and some are losers. We saw it a couple weeks ago in Monaco when Verstappen didn't get a safety car, and he was a loser in that one. But in this past race, Norris was losing there, and Verstappen actually got a really good bump from there. So last year, Verstappen's getting first, Lando second, and then George Russell third, followed by Hamilton, Piastri. Last year was a really good double points for Aston Martin. Doubt we'll see that this time. I guess we'll see in our predictions, but it was very interesting. Ricciardo actually got points last year, so I know we were all happy about that. Still missing him. And then Alpine finished off the top 10 with 9 and 10, getting double points there. And
I noticed you didn't mention any Ferraris in the top 10.
I said and I wanted to save it for last because it's so important for Josh to really hear it here. But it was a double Ferrari DNF, and you rarely see that. So let's get into it.
You've seen that earlier this year.
Sainz crashed into Albon, so we already mentioned that they were both both had to retire, and then Leclerc had to retire because of engine issues, which I just find very intriguing. And then I'm pretty sure last year I probably complained about it. I'm actually probably almost positive because it was Perez who spun off and retired as well. So I didn't like him last year. Although this year, now I feel like I have a soft spot for Perez. And I just want to say, I'm sorry, man.
I feel like
I gave him way too much shit.
Every week that the second Red Bull seat struggles, I'm like, damn, we didn't know how good we had it with Checo. But
will he come back? I don't know.
The chaos. One of my favorite things of last year's race was absolute chaos. Was even in qualifying, the most satisfying thing ever. George Russell took pole off Max Verstappen with equal times, but George Russell set it first, so he got pole. But
Right.
even better than that, it was a perfect 1 minute and 12 seconds. 0.000. Love it. What I am not loving, though, is this year's Predictors Championship, unfortunately. So hopefully we can turn that around. But before we get to our predictions, Josh, of course, has to give us the update.
Yeah, you're not liking it because you and J9 are tied for last. So you have a chance to at least get out of last
Tied
place.
for
where you've
last
been
is
sitting
tied
all
for
year.
last is still on the podium.
I guess in this scenario, you guys can. We're all four of us are somehow on a
This is
3-spot
true.
podium. But yeah, you two are tied in last with 11 points. Matt, 16. You got a good gap ahead of behind you, and an even bigger gap ahead of you because I have 23 points. So we'll see if I can continue my dominance in person, or if I'm just going to lose it all here.
But we might as well get right into it. Of course, the race is what matters, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Of course, it is qualifying. It is pole position that really sets the tone. Matt, bouncing to you first. Who do you have starting in first?
I think this is Norris's race to lose over the past season and a half. Seems like he's been the fastest over a single lap. He did pretty well at Canada last year, and as far as I remember, he should crush it in Sector 3. Let's go, Lando.
You said last time, Matt, that you like the McLarens just flip flopping every race, and that was spot on. And you're doing the same thing again. I'm doing the same thing I did last time. That was wrong, and I'm saying Piastri goes back to back again. After I said Norris would go back to back, and they flip flopped. So we'll see what happens there.
And I'm actually going Norris. I think he's got it. I agree with Matt.
I've gone for Charles Leclerc.
What?
After talking about how bad Ferrari was last year, I think that if you look at the track, we know, even though this year was a little unusual, Australia usually suits Ferrari. This has similar kind of semi-temporary, kind of some really long straight bits into some sharp corners, but it's also very similar to Monaco in that it really only has low-speed corners, which Ferrari did well at. So I think Charles is going to look pretty good.
I can't wait to see
prediction.
Ben be wrong.
But
we'll move
if
on.
that comes true, then my hot take cannot come true. So one of us is going to be wrong for sure.
But
is it another Ferrari double DNF?
Hey, pole position only matters, of course.
That would be so terrible.
Pole position only matters, of course, if you back it up. So now getting right into our race day Grand Prix podium, starting with third position, I have gone for George Russell. I think Mr. Does Nothing gets P3 will be back. I think Mercedes has always gone well here. We talked about Lewis having success here, even though he's not still at Mercedes. George Russell is now the main driver there, so I think he might inherit some of that Mercedes success.
I thought about putting some Mercedes on my podium because they typically do well in the cooler weather, and Canada is typically one of the colder races. But I don't have any Mercedes on my podium. I have Lando Norris in third. I think I guess that's a disappointing weekend for him, but I feel like that's still a good weekend.
Fair enough. I'm going to side with Ben on this one. I think George takes P3. And I would have said Max, to be honest, if this was an earlier race in the calendar. But at this point in the season, I really do think this is a McLaren-Mercedes race.
Well, I'm actually going Max. And I'm kind of sad to say that because I want to put him higher, but I don't think that he will be because McLaren is so strong. So I'm going Max in third.
What about in second place?
I do think he'll be in second.
Oh, really?
So,
you think second?
Yeah, I have Max in second.
I
think
Oscar.
He's going to go on a tear here. Okay.
I know. I don't want to say it. But listen, I'm last place. I got to go with some of the obvious choices to get myself some points, unlike Ben just kind of winging shit and seeing what happens.
See, yeah, I'm definitely
and yet you're tied.
Okay, I'm definitely
no, I'm changing
realizing
my tactic, Matt. It's different.
As I go through the predictions, I kind of realize why I'm in last place. But we're gonna stick with it, even though I had him on pole. I have Charles Leclerc in P2. I do think it's going to be a good race for him. I think he's going to find a little bit of his form. He's certainly begging for it this season.
Oh yeah, and I've gone Oscar. I think he's going to really push to get that P1 position, and we may see him lead some of the race. But I have him finishing P2.
And that brings us to our winner come Sunday. Josh, you seem amped and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm going Oscar. I mean, I think he's pole. I had the stats up, but I forgot it. But basically, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In all but 3 of those, the pole sitter has won. So 7 of the last 10. I think that's pretty good.
Then I'm going Lando.
Last year was okay.
I am also going Lando. I don't even have Oscar on my podium. I am going Lando because I think Oscar succeeds most in the high-speed corners. He gets a lot more exit speed we've seen this year. I think Lando, similar to Monaco, is going to benefit from kind of that front-forward car in the low speed.
And I'm going to go Lando as well, just because if he doesn't bottle pole, he probably has a pretty good shot.
Dude, it would be my dream if Lando could win in Canada while we're in attendance. Hey, but if it's Lando and Charles, like my prediction, top 2, I think Josh and I will both leave.
You're right.
Leave
You're right. It would
pretty
be a
happy.
celebration.
But also worth celebrating is our P10 prediction, our final point getter of the weekend. Matt, who have you gone with?
I am going to say the underwhelming but still relevant Lewis Hamilton. He's got underrated form for this race. Sorry, for this season. He is a good driver. Of course, we all know that. But the Ferrari's just not performing like we expected to with his track history here. I would see him doing better, but I don't know. Just another thing to root for the Ferrari fan I'll know in the stands.
I just want to quickly butt in and say
I'm not rooting for
thank you everybody for listening to our podcast wherever you listen. I would highly recommend also checking out our video episodes that get simultaneously uploaded to YouTube, because all 3 of us just made the most horrendous faces when Matt just called Lewis Hamilton underperforming and underwhelming. So
no, he is a little bit this season. I think Charles will push him down, but I don't know. Probably could have had a better answer. I figured that was entertaining enough. Maybe it'll give me 2 points if it comes true.
Well, now I'm just sad. Now I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go Fernando Alonso. I'm going to be positive and say he's going to get his first points. We're going to be really happy and cheering him on. It'll be great. Turning a negative into a positive.
Well, I've also gone with the elder statesman of Formula One, because I've gone P10, Nico Hülkenberg. He's coming off a P5, looked spectacular in Spain. I don't know if he'll be quite that good, but definitely look for Kick Sauber being up in the points a little more regularly after their upgrade package.
All 3 of you have gone for, I think, maybe the 3 oldest drivers on the grid. I've gone for Isaac Hadjar. That's almost as opposite as you can get. I mean, he's been good all year, and I think I guess P10 is maybe a disappointment for him.
I was going to say, I never consider him for it because I always have him finishing higher than that.
I have him in 7th in my mind.
I think he'll end up there. I like some of your old guy picks, but I think some of your old guys are going to finish up higher. And
you think Fernando Alonso is going to finish higher?
Maybe, yeah. Why not?
Why not?
We will have.
That's not my hot take, though.
Well, let's get into the hot takes right away. Josh, you were hinting earlier before we started recording that we might be against it.
Yeah, so you had Charles on pole. Matt, you had Lewis in 10th. I think Lewis is gonna out qualify and out finish Charles Leclerc. And the reason I think that's so hot, he's been out qualified 7-2. And he's been outraced 7-1.
I think that's definitely hot.
So yeah, Lewis has just been not good this year. But like you said, Matt, he's had good history here. He's a good driver still, obviously. He's struggled, I think, getting used to this car, but I think a little familiarity from the track, and also Charles Leclerc hasn't been that good at this track in the past. I think he's only, he's raced here 5 times, and he's only beaten his teammate twice out of those 5 times. So I'm just kind of playing some percentages here, seeing what happens.
My hot take is that there will be 3 DNFs. I feel pretty good about it. I feel maybe that there might be some rain. There might just be some craziness going on. You never know.
That would be
3
exciting for us to
DNFs.
watch.
I know, right?
I would say I think what I'm hearing, Josh, is we're in for a little bit of a doozy. I am also going with something that would certainly be exciting to see live. I think that we are going to get another top 5 finish by a midfield team. So not the big four. I don't know if it's Albon. I don't know if it's Hulkenberg going back to back P5. I don't know if Isaac Hadjar is going to sneak up. I think he's gotten one P5 this year, but I believe there's only been 4 drivers who have gotten P5 not in the big four so far, and I am here for it. I don't care if it rains. I don't care if it's sun shining. If we get a great race, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time regardless. It is certainly going to be wonderful.
Oh yeah. So I guess I was having a bad day when I wrote my notes. But when I look back at what my hot take is, Verstappen gets his 12th penalty point and will
Whoa,
not be
that's
able to
good.
race. Will not be able to race in Red Bull's home race. And I'm not saying it because I want it to happen, but you know, if there's anybody who's still pissed off about 2023, this is for you.
It would be wild to see one of the biggest names in the sport get the race ban. The only driver to get the race ban from accumulating 12 penalty points over a 12-month span was Kevin Magnussen last year. And no disrespect to Kevin Magnussen, but Max Verstappen has a lot more pull in Formula One than he. So, again, another thing that would be crazy epic to witness in person. But it is almost upon us, so to get you ready, it is, as we mentioned, Eastern time zone. That means qualifying is at 4 p.m. on Saturday, and then a 2 p.m. Grand Prix on Sunday on an island right next to Montreal. What could be bad? You can watch it on ESPN if you are in the U.S., and of course, those are Eastern times for you, but we will have so much to talk about after this race. Josh and I will come back full of notes, full of commentary, ready to break it all down. So until then, everybody, stay speedy. Goodbye.